I'm very pleased to introduce you to John Christensen of Christensen IT Law. John is a longtime colleague. In fact, he's been with me my entire time on this cybersecurity journey and preceded me by a number of years. He's one of our pioneers. In cyber law, there are not that many practitioners, even to this day, that understand the technology as well as its application in certain corporate settings. And John has been consulting with corporations, professional organizations, typically in the healthcare profession, but in other areas as well. He is a well-known expert in the area of cybersecurity in the health sector. He is a consultant engaged with the Department of Health and Human Services at the federal level. We're very honored to have John here, and I want to thank you for taking the time, John. Thanks for being with us today. John, a lot of the students taking this course are relatively new to cybersecurity, and many may have the mistaken impression that it's all about firewalls or passwords or crypto. It's certainly not that. And the role that the legal component plays is really significant. You yourself are very unusual given your background in cyber law, which is not too commonly taught even today in law schools. So could you share with the students your journey, how you found yourself moving from general law into IT law and now into the healthcare?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I never planned to do this. I was a young lawyer looking for interesting projects to be involved with, and it happened that I was asked to have a look at a project this was in the early 90s, to get the mainframes in the basements of some very large Washington state organizations to share information among each other. I was fairly comfortable with the vocabulary of computers and with people.
Were you a techie?
I was a chess nerd in high school, and I hung out with the people who were techies. And this was Princeton, New Jersey, so everybody's fathers and many mothers were rocket scientists and computer scientists, and we blew up crystals for my advanced chemistry in high school class in high school. So I wasn't a techie myself. I was more of a hippie, but I was very comfortable with technical people, and got involved with this project kind of on a community service basis almost, and it was really interesting. And it looked like something that could go somewhere and could have important, worthwhile results. And then it failed because all the organizations got to the point where they were going to start sharing information, and then everybody suddenly said, oh, but what about privacy? Oh, but what about security? Which, in fact, I don't think anybody really cared about. I think it was an excuse not to do something that they didn't want to do. We didn't have any law on point in the early 90s. But I found it fascinating, and this was at a time in history when we were just getting the glimmerings of a commercialized internet. And Al Gore does, in fact, deserve some credit on that one. And we were beginning to see some stirrings in the Seattle area. Microsoft was becoming something other than one building just off 405. And people in various places were beginning to take a look at it. And I thought it was fascinating. And I thought the issues were fascinating, and the fact that they didn't have any real solution yet meant it was going to be a very worthwhile place to be. Because I was one of maybe a half dozen lawyers who even understood that there were issues, the work tended to come to me, and it's built from there. I was involved with HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. The week after that was passed in Congress, one of the lead consultants who'd helped put that together came out here to set up a business based around information sharing. And we went to lunch, and he said, here's something very important that you don't understand about this law that you don't think will apply to health information, but it will. And so we rode on that one. Through the dot-com boom, there was a lot of interesting activity, but also a lot of building out within enterprises, not just quirky business plans, but some really worthwhile activity going on. The regulations in a number of sectors developed. Case law began developing. People began to be sensitized to privacy issues a whole lot more. And at the same time, the technology actually became capable of doing more worthwhile things. It's never as magic as the technology evangelists would like you to believe. It's never magic at all. But you do, at the end of the day, I think, have the opportunity to come up with some really worthwhile solutions in healthcare in particular, where data matters, and data being at the right place at the right time matters. At the same time, the wrong data being at the right place can lead to fatal results. And of course, personal health information, protected health information going to people who shouldn't have it can have very bad results as well. So we're now in a highly regulated phase where there is a lot of interesting technological activity going on. And frankly, we still haven't solved most of the problems.